Hello? Hello?
Hello, who's
Does
this
that work?
talking?
This is Ben.
So some people are. Okay, good. So some people are able to talk. I just wasn't. Are you
Can you
using
hear
your
me?
school computer or home computer? Yes, I can.
Cool.
I'm
I'm
on a
using my
home
School
home
computer
computer.
computer.
or home computers, guys?
Home
Okay.
I'm on
computer
my home
with
computer.
All
the
right. I was
Home.
kind of. Okay. All right. I was just curious. I didn't know if the school computers that they issued to you guys worked or not. This is going to be really short. The only reason we're meeting today is because yesterday we had consensus for everything except for a few of the questions at the end, and that's what I wanted to go over. But since I kind of came up with this join me at the very last second, not everybody was able to join me. So I'm just wondering from the people who weren't able to join yesterday, was there any discrepancies in any of the consensuses that we had? So, for instance, we found out that the two top tapes repel each other strongly. The two bottom tapes repel each other strongly. The top and the bottom tape attract one another fairly strongly. The top tape attracts both the paper and the tin foil, but it attracts the tin foil a little stronger than the paper. And the bottom tape attracts the tinfoil and the paper, and again a little more strongly for the tinfoil than the paper. So for the people who weren't here yesterday, that was the consensus that we all agreed on that we're here. Did you guys agree with that too or not? You can type it or you can say something. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay. All right. So it looks like, what about Eli? Eli said yes. Okay. All right. So we do have consensus. That's why I was a little bit confused about why we're disagreeing on this last one. So here's the problem. For the last couple, we tried the PVC, and there was about 5 who said that it was repelling, and 3 people said attracting. Then the PVC and the bottom tape, and 2 people said repelling, and 6 people said attracting. Then we tried the lucite and the top tape, 3 repel, 5 attract, and the lucite and the bottom tape, we have 6 repel and 2 attract. Compounding that confusion is there are some people that were saying like attract, 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 and then repel. You know, that seems kind of confusing. I'm sure they were thinking, yeah, something doesn't make sense there either. And some of them would say maybe attract, repel, attract, and then they said attract. So there was a little bit of confusion. So I thought it was kind of good if I could kind of replicate that for you today. So that's what I'm doing. All right, so off camera here, I've got some tape that I'm going to have to bring over here. Okay, so what I have right now is I pulled these off the base tape. There's the T for top tape, and there's the bottom tape underneath it. After I pulled it off, do you guys remember what you're supposed to do next? You could type it in or say. Hang it from not hang it from the table yet. Remember you were doing something with this tape, it looked a little funny. Yeah, rub it on your lips or your nose or some piece of metal. So I'm going to do that. Might as well look funny just like you guys did the other day, right? Have fun. Okay, so now I did it good enough. Do you remember what you do next? You actually need to bring your hands near it and see if it attracts. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's not really attracting. So I did a good job of neutralizing this. If you don't do that, it'll still attract and it will give me some bad results. So that might be why we've got the discrepancies here, maybe. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel off the top tape. That's over here. This is top tape. I'm going to put it near the end here. And I'm going to take the bottom tape. I'm going to put it right here. I think you guys can see that on the camera. So the bottom tape is closer. The top tape is further away. I'm going to move my light here because I think it shows the tapes better. I think you can see them a little bit better. Now, probably around your house somewhere, you've got some lucite, believe it or not. I looked around this morning and I've got this plastic water jug. And this is lucite. If you can find some very strong, clear plastic, it's probably lucite. Here's my plastic bag. And I've got some PVC pipe. You could probably use an old hairbrush if you don't have PVC pipe. And it could be just simply, a piece of cotton or something. I tried the cat this morning, it didn't like it, so I don't know where it's at, it's hiding somewhere. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and use the PVC and compare it to the top tape. So I'm going to rub the PVC. Yeah, this is my daughter's little plush toy here, so we'll see if it works. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet. So this is PVC and the top tape. Okay. That toy doesn't work very well here. I'm going to try it again. I can actually hear the static this time. Okay, can you see what it's doing to the top tape? Tell me, what is it doing to the top tape? Let me type in or say it. Tracking, okay. So now I'm going to bring it near the bottom tape. Okay, the bottom tape, that's the closer one to you guys. What do you see is happening to it? Let me get the top tape out of the way. I don't want you staring at that one. The bottom tape, can you see it? What's it doing? Yeah, it's repelling, right. Okay, so I'm going to bring that top tape back over. Okay, now I'm going to get the lucite here, plastic bag. Okay, and let's give this a try. Okay, so this is the lucite, and can you see what it's doing to the top tape there? Let me get the bottom tape out of the way. What's it doing to it's repelling? Okay. Now let me get this one out of the way. And what's it doing to the bottom tape? What's it doing to the bottom tape? Okay. Subtracting. Now that's my results. That doesn't mean my results are any better than your results. Okay. But I just want to clarify that I tried it myself this morning, and when I didn't make sure that I got the charge off by rubbing across my lip and then bringing my hand near it, I did get different results. In fact, I got something really squirrely where a bottom tape and a top tape were actually repelling, and that told me something wasn't right. Okay, so I don't know that we still have consensus. I just did it for you, and you got your observations. But I would really like you guys to try it yourself, and maybe we can get some consensus. But for sure, what needs to be done on Monday is your lab response and the worksheet 1, and also don't forget the internet homework's due that night too. Okay? Any questions? Type it. No. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? The last chance. No, I don't think a mustache is required. Actually, using a water faucet is best. It works really well in a water faucet because what you're doing is you're providing a ground. And the reason why the lip's pretty good, not necessarily the mustache. Actually, mustache probably not good because it's kind of like the hair. You're charging up again. Is your skin there is a little thinner, and the moisture actually carries away some of the charge as well. So yeah, your lips are actually better. You don't want them actually wet. It just needs to provide. You don't go licking your lips or anything, but it needs to be a little bit thinner skin so there's enough moisture going through there. That's why in the summer, and sometime when you have a lot of moisture in the air, it's hard to build up a static charge. Okay. So I would rather you didn't. Oh, that's right. That's Kurt. I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Okay, so let's say I have a bottom tape and a top tape. Using our old logic, our old logic was that one tape could have a excess of positive charge. Let's say that's the top tape here, excess of positive charge. And the bottom tape would have a deficiency of top charges, of positive charges. So we called it negative. I'm going to leave those off because I don't want you to think that I'm saying for sure that there are positives or negatives. But if these were positives, an extra amount of positives, and this had a deficiency of positives, do you still see they're attracted? Okay. But, so this doesn't really prove anything. Or even if we had a top tape and a top tape kind of repelling, that doesn't prove that there is two different types of charges. It's kind of suggested that there is, but it's not proving for sure. Now what I want to do is I want to look at paper. I'm going to put a P, I have to write backwards. Sorry. Paper, and I'm going to have a top tape. The paper, what was the charge of the paper? What did we find when we took paper near paper? It was neutral, that's right. So think about it. How could a neutral object be attracted to a positive? Well, it must mean that there must be two different types of charges, right? Because we know that it must be the deficiency of positive. Well, there isn't a deficiency of positive. It's neutral. But what if we look on a microscopic level inside the paper, and what if there were two charges, positive and a negative? So let's say that those positive charges have something similar to them, and that's a negative charge. So let's say there is a positive here and there's a negative here. Can you see that negative is a little bit closer to the positive than, they're not right on top, these are not right on top of one another. There's a little bit of distance. So there would be a little bit of force there. And here's maybe another one here, positive, and here's a negative. So when this top tape is removed, the paper would look like something like this. Positive, negative, positive, negative. But when we bring the top tape near it, so this is the paper again. When we bring that top tape near it, top tape, it could distort this a little bit. Make the positives move further away and make the negatives come closer to it. And that's going to attract it. Think about the paper. Remember how the paper wasn't attracted as much as the metal, the foil was? Let's think about the foil for a second. Now think back to circuitry, because you remember something with circuitry. Metal. Can charges flow through metal easily? Let me type something. Yes. Okay, so here we have the foil. So we could still have those positives and negatives, but now those negatives, they can move around. Or maybe the positives. We don't know what, at this point, we don't know for sure which one's moving. Some of us might be thinking we know because we read it, but we haven't seen any proof of which one's really moving. Okay? But in metal, for foil, the positives and negatives can move, and so, or could move, possibly. And so here's the foil where the top tape's brought near it, and now let's say all the negatives are clear on this side, and all the positives are on this side. They can get even further away, or they can get even closer. Didn't we find out yesterday that the closer they get, the more force there is? Let me type something. Yes. And so if we can get even closer to it, then there would be even more force pulling them together. Okay. So really the only proof that we have that there are two different forces is when the top tape or the bottom tape, doesn't matter which one, is attracted to either the paper or the foil. That's some pretty good evidence that there must be two different types of charges. I want to caution you, though, we still don't know which charge is the one that's moving, whether it's the negative or the positive. Okay? So I want you to think about that a little bit. Thanks for reminding me about that, Kurt. Any other questions anybody has? So we all good? Okay. Thank you. That's good. Hope they're enjoying their winter break. Drew had a question. Drew asked it. Okay, what's the question, Drew? Oh, how do we know that the top tape is positive? Oh, well, at this point, we don't really know the top tape is positive, right? All we know is the top tape has a different charge than the bottom tape. So here's the possibilities. It could be like this. Top tape, bottom tape. Could be positive, 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 negative, 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 right? That could be a possibility. Or it could be this, top tape, bottom tape, negative, 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 and positive, 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 right? Those are the two possibilities. However, that's why the consensus for the last one is pretty important. If we go with my results, not necessarily should we do that. You should try it yourself to make sure you're getting consensus. Maybe we can have a discussion on my big campus. But according to my results, the PVC attracted the top tape. Do we agree with that? The PVC attracted the top tape? Somebody say something, type. Yes. Okay. Now, according to our reading, the PVC, when rubbed, and I think Ben says this here, that would be a negative charge. And we found already that likes repel one another and opposites attract. So the PVC must be the opposite of the top tape. The PVC, according to reading, is negative, and therefore the top tape would be positive. So Drew, does that make sense? Type something. Yeah, okay. All right. So now understand that the positive negative thing is totally arbitrary. We really need to make sure we have consensus on this. If you're going by my demonstration here, if you're saying, okay, throw out my results, I'm really hoping you guys are scientists, you go home and try it yourself since you're at home, and see if you get the same thing. But if you just go by my results, then it looks like the top tape is positive, okay? Now, where did this whole positive negative thing come from? Well, the ancient Greeks actually used amber instead of PVC, but they didn't have PVC pipe. They didn't even have rubber back then. But they had amber, which amber is like a hard resin that comes from pine trees, and it becomes fossilized. Sometimes over in Europe, a lot of times they make jewelry out of it. It can have bugs in it and stuff like that. And they found out that if you rubbed it with like wool or something, it had kind of a charge to it. I mean, it had some kind of electrostatic. Well, the Greek word for amber is electron. And so by basically historical consequences, that's why we call the negative, and in this case, the top tape would be positive. I miss you guys talking. It's really hard to talk to a computer. I feel like I have problems. Okay, so, okay, thanks. Do you guys have any other questions? Okay, thanks. Good. I feel loved by a computer. Okay, so no other questions? Those are good questions. Look forward to hopefully seeing you guys on Monday. All right, so that's the end of the meeting then. Thanks for coming.